Hi, I'm Professor Laura Kayser, and I'm here to present to you a little bit of the work that we do in my lab. So to do this, I will share with you a poster that I have prepared to tell you a little bit of our work in the field of organic electronics for human-machine interfaces. So before I go into this, I'm sure that very few of you are familiar with what organic electronics are. So I'll start there, here in this top left corner. So organic electronics are typically pi conjugated molecules. And in my group, we're particularly interested in pi conjugated polymers. So pi conjugated polymers are polymers which have alternating single and double bonds. So unlike common plastics like polyethylene, which don't have pi bonds, those pi conjugated polymers have semiconducting and conducting properties, which means that we can use them in electronic devices by changing the structure of those polymers, like using heterocycles like polypyrols, fused molecules like polyfluorines, polythiophene are a very popular type of material as well. You can change the organic chemistry and then change the properties of your material. And you can use them in a range of different applications, from like transistors to like LED devices or even solar cells. But what my group is interested in particular is interfacing those materials with the human body or with biological systems. And so one of the challenges we're trying to address are neurological disorders. So those disorders affect 1 in 6 people worldwide. They encompass diseases such as Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson, but they can also result from traumatic nerve injuries or brain injuries, etc. And so our goal is to make materials, electronic materials that can be interfaced with the human body, either directly, like implantable electronics, maybe things to like sense diseases like Alzheimer's disease. But we can also interface those materials indirectly. And we have like a whole field of the lab that's working in robotics and soft robotics. So generally what we do is we do modern synthetic chemistry. So most of us like synthesize molecules in the lab, and particularly polymers, and we use them to control the chemical structure and the solid state assembly of those organic electronics to address challenges related to neurological disorders. And we also have an aspect of the group that's thinking about making those materials sustainably. So I'll talk about that a little bit too. So just to give you an overview, like the central theme of the lab is like those soft electronic materials, those polymeric systems. We have projects related to using plastic waste and biomass to make those materials. We also have like an aspect on like making materials that can change their mechanical properties, they can change their shape under a voltage, and that's more in the area of soft robotics. And we also have very fundamental work working in the area of mixed ionic electronic polymers. And so we're trying to like understand how this system works and how we can use chemistry to influence the properties of those materials. So overall, my group is very diverse. We have organic chemists, we have inorganic chemists, we have material scientists, we have engineers, and all of this results in like a very interdisciplinary work and fun science. So just a brief overview of what I've worked on in the past. So my postdoc work was focusing on making stretchable and conductive materials. So where I was making those conjugated polymers and conductive polymers to interface with the human body in terms of having wearable systems. So we can make block copolymers of semiconducting and conducting polymers that are fully stretchable. So that's like one of the like inspiration for the group is like taking these like simple materials and modifying them to achieve the properties that we want. So an area that my lab is working on now is this idea of like taking plastic waste and upcycling it to electronic materials. So one of the common problem, environmental issue currently is that 300 million tons of plastics are produced per year, but only 10% of that is recycled. And so we thought about ways of like transforming this waste plastic into conjugated polymer that we can use in electronic devices. And so we have several projects in this area. Tulaja is one of the students working on this plastic upcycling project, but we have like a few more that I'd be happy to talk to you about if we need one-on-one. Ellen, who's here, is working in the area of biobased and biodegradable electronics. So he's taking materials that are derived from biomass, like from vanillin, which is extracted from lignin, or furan, which is extracted from cellulose, tomato derivatives, and trying to make polymers that are semiconducting as well as biodegradable. Mandy and Vidika, who are here on the picture, are working in this area of like mechanically adaptive material. So they're using like conducting polymers with reversible crosslink or thermoresponsive materials to make things that can either move or at least change their mechanical properties. And so we're thinking about ways of integrating them in robotic devices. And finally, here is like Shunyan, and Shunyan is working on mixed conductors. So mixed conductors can conduct both electrons and also ions. And so that's really important for when you're trying to interface electronic devices with the human body. Our body works with ionic signals, whereas most electronics works with electrons. And so by using those mixed ionic electronic conductors, we can make electronic devices that can really make the perfect interface between humans and machines. And so we're designing a material that's like improve both the ionic and the electronic transport in those materials. And there's lots of like projects related to this areas that are available. The last area that I want to talk to you about is those 3D printed conductive hydrogels. This project is fully available. We have some preliminary work that we did in this area, but overall nobody's working on this project, but it's a project that I'm really excited about. So this project involves like photopolymerizing conductive polymer. So when you're photopolymerizing something, you have control over both when you're doing the polymerization and where you're doing the polymerization. And that's really powerful if you're thinking about printing or 3D printing those materials. And so we have like some ideas for like doing the photopolymerization as well as doing 3D printing and applying those materials in neural interfaces. And that would be done through collaborations. I have added here also what the lab philosophy is. As I said, we're a very interdisciplinary group, but we're also a very diverse group, and we welcome all backgrounds and try to create like an inclusive environment for all. So if you have any more questions, I would encourage you to contact me either via email, follow us on Twitter also, and check out our website and the lab video tour video that we've created. And with that, I thank you for your time and hope to see you during the visit weekend.